Sorry about that, guys. So, for some reason, my audio was not working my last video, so I'm redoing this video. But Cordell Volson is out for the season. And it also potentially is the last time we're going to see Cordell Volson as a Cincinnati Bengal, as he is on the last year of his contract, and now with him being out for the season with a shoulder injury, it's not like there's 100% chance we end up signing him back. So there's a decent shot that this is pretty much GG. Now, he already potentially wasn't going to make the roster because, again, we end up moving him to center this last week, and then this is when he goes down for injury for the season, which really sucks. Not only that, remember, he restructured his contract this offseason where he was going to get, guaranteed money because of the NFL, program where if you play a certain amount of snaps and you're a starter, you actually get extra money. They ended up restructuring his deal, taking that money and putting it in incentives. So he was going to walk away with $1 million bonus, $1 million guaranteed. But in the end, they end up taking that money and restructuring it in theory to keep him on the team. Probably he was better off just taking that money at that point and just getting cut. And now with obviously being out for the season, hindsight is 2020 here. But in the end now, this offensive line, now again, Cordell Volson, there was a chance he wasn't even going to make the roster, given, he just hasn't been doing great in preseason, hasn't been doing great in practice, and let alone moving positions. But we really start talking about this offensive line. This offensive line is very, very thin. Behind Orlando Brown Jr., you got Jalen Rivers, who does not look like he could play tackle to save his life. Then you got Caleb Etienne. Behind Fairchild, you got Jackson Kirkland. And nobody else after that. Teddy K at center, you got Matt Lee and Seth McLaughlin. The good thing is, hopefully, if Seth McLaughlin or Matt Lee, Matt Lee I think could play center pretty good, but we also utilize Matt Lee in different positions. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. We like to utilize him either at wide receiver. That would be interesting. No, we like to utilize him at left tackle, right tackle. We have utilized him as guard before. He can be kind of moved around. But Seth McLaughlin, if he can really continue to step up, now that he's back from injury, you never know. You move Teddy K to right guard, Seth or Matt Lee at center, then you have options there. But I've said many times, if you're going to go for a deep playoff run and go win the Super Bowl, you need to have backup linemen that you can trust that they could be starters given, the situation that you have to, right? Given the situation where you have to put these guys, thrust them into the starting lineup, you need to have a comfortability that these guys could be starters. So, because, again, we've seen it before. We got the AFC Championship game, and we lost a right tackle, left tackle. We're talking about Hakeem was our starting right tackle. These are things that, we have dealt with over the years. And this is why, great teams, they have these backup offensive linemen. They have these backup defensive linemen where, I'm not saying you're going out there and getting a Quentin Nelson to back up Dylan Fairchild, right? No. But you have a guy that you feel comfortable with that could be a starter given, the unfortunate possibility. I don't feel like Jackson Kirkland, we're sitting here saying today, if Dylan Fairchild went down with injury, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, we don't feel like he would be the capable starter. We know Jalen Rivers can't be a starter at a tackle. He's listed at tackle. So it's it's one of those things where I feel like we always have issues with the offensive line, but we always have issue also with depth at the offensive line position. Because as Cordell Volson now is out for the season, it kind of gives you a grim reminder that, you can't predict injuries, obviously. And not only that, injuries pop up at any time. They never go away. They never stop. So there's always that adversity of injuries popping up. You just, as a team, have to be ready and prepare as much as you can for the given situation. So I know we tried to go out there and sign Dalton Risner. It's still very disappointing that he left. I know, given the news that we got, that he wanted to look at all his options. He wanted to leave to potentially see what was the best option. So I don't really put that on front office at all now, because it kind of seems like he was the one who wanted to explore options, not the Bengals like messing this up. But still, it's one of those situations where it's like, this is why we've been so panicked about this offense line. We've been so panicked about potentially, not having depth, because if you get to let's say you get to the playoffs this year, right? And your starting left guard or starting right guard ends up being Jackson Kirkland, starting, whatever. Like this, you can't be in these situations. You can't. Because you're going to just end up losing games because of this. So it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating to say the least. I think we pick up Dalton Risner. I feel a lot more comfortable, just because then that puts, Lucas Patrick as a second string guy. You have Dalton Risner as a starter. It moves Cody Floyd back to the left tackle position. Maybe you move Jackson Kirkland, one spot over. Jalen Rivers plays guard, and then you feel a little bit more comfortable. But we're going to have to keep a lot of linemen this year, a lot more than we probably want to, which means we're going to be thinner at other positions as well, because, you keep extra linemen, you only keep so many players, 53-man roster. So, but we're going to have to keep extra linemen, because this is obviously something that, we've always dealt with. We've always dealt with the issues of offensive line, and, its ugly head is continuing to wreak havoc. So, comment down below your thoughts, opinions. See you guys next one.